Okay, so my first video got cut off. Please go look at part one because this isn't going to make any sense. But it's a past life regression and precognition story time about how I got four husbands in this. Okay, so where we left off. Um, so I'm a psychic. I remember a lot of my past lives in a lot of detail. Specifically, this life is an absolute, almost perfect mirror parallel to a life that I had in the late 17, early 1800s. So I had hooked up with my best friend and my sister. Please look at part one of this for the love of God. And we were all talking, and I made a joke, and I was like, because he was in a really bad marriage. They thought I was mad just like because it mirrors, so I look crazy in this life saying that I remember all these past lives, and he looked crazy in that life by being like, yeah, I get reincarnated into this girl and da 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 da. And so like we were talking and everything, and I made a joke because I was like, married, mad, my sister. And I was like, aren't we just like the perfect bunch? Married, mad, my sister. And then I was like, oh wait, haha, I guess Charlotte would have been the married one. So I was like, it'd be married, a man, mad, and my sister. And both of them like they looked at me and they were like, what? And I was like, Charlotte. And they were like, you hooked up with Queen Charlotte, like Charlotte. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh wait, was this before Charlotte? And they were like, yeah, dude. Like, yeah, like they didn't say dude, but they were like, well, yeah, like, yeah. And I was like, oh. And then my sister's like, but she's old. And I was like, no, she's beautiful. Like, she looked, when I meet her, she's like, looks younger than my, like, wife. And I was like, yeah, we got along like really, really well. And I was like, I already know I'm gonna be reincarnated into a girl. And I was like, in an ideal world, I would have two husbands and two wives. And I was like, we can let's see if I was like, maybe we can make like a soul contract with it. Because I had made those before. And I was like, and they were like, and I was like, only if you want to, like only if you want to, like they had their choice on doing this or not. But we were very close, obviously, because one was my sister. And I was like, all right, God, if you believe this is moral, if this is okay, if we're gonna have like a beautiful marriage, like a happily ever after, peaceful, just beautiful marriage, like all of us together, please let this happen and we meet in 2026, Lord. Just only if you will it, literally if it is God's will. And if not, it is what it is. And they were like, well, what happens if like we marry somebody else? And I was like, we'll just all end up with karmics until we just see each other, to be quite honest. So I was like, yeah, like I just really want two wives and two husbands though. And then my sister was like, oh, how about so and so? The guy she mentioned was this man who was basically our caretaker, and he also was the baker in our household. And I was like, oh yeah, like I like him a lot too, but he suffers every day. And they were like, why? And I was like, because he's over there fighting, or like his son is over there fighting the American Revolution. He has no idea if his son is alive or dead every single day, and he just suffers. And like then I was obviously, because we're connected and he had known about me by this point, and he was like, yeah, and it's pointless because we lose the war. And they were like, what? And I was like, well, yeah, how else did I become a black and Native American woman in the United States in 2026 if we won that war? And they were like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah. So we went over to his cottage and we were talking to him and everything. And this was like basically the deal. I was like, also, I don't want any of my spouses to have spouses because it complicates things way too much. That's a whole nother story time. And also, I'm making you rich and powerful. Yeah, you're not going to have any other spouses. And he was like, oh, he was like still not happy about it. And I was like, dude, you already know I get reincarnated into a woman. And I was like, and so there's also my sister who was there and Charlotte. So I was like, you're gonna be a guy with three wives and one husband. Like that's more than fair. You don't need any other spouses. So he agreed to the soul, like the marriage pact too. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and fast forward into 2026. Because I started having all these past life regressions and all these weird dreams. And in these dreams and stuff that I was having, because I didn't realize I was having precognition, I was so confused because I was in this house and everything. And these guys were like, I was like, who are you? And blah, blah, blah. And they were like, this is real. You're not dreaming. You're just psychic. I'm your husband. And then they kept saying that. And I was like, no, like, you're lying to me because that guy just said he was my husband. And they kept repeating it. They were like, you have 4 husbands. You have, surprise, surprise. I didn't end up with 4, like 2 husbands and 2 wives. They all got reincarnated into men. So this kept happening like nonstop, and I was having these weird dreams. I just didn't understand it. And then finally, like in one of the dreams, I like realized that I recognized one of the husbands, and I was like, this is real. Like this is real. And so I went on to like his social media, and I went through all of his like friends and everything, because I was like, because then we would all be meeting, so we would have to know each other. And a couple of like guys actually looked a bit familiar. And then like, because I was like, this can't be real. It was real. I found, like, I realized one dude or like 2 of the dudes I already knew, and then the other 2 I didn't meet them at the time, but like I went through their friends list and I found these 2 guys, and I was like, this is real. Like, this is real. And so I basically, like, I lived out like 3 weeks of worth of a precognition, because what I was, please look at part 1 of this. What I was trying to do didn't work out. What something that I was trying to accomplish a few weeks ago didn't work out. And I was so confused. And it was because I wasn't doing it on a sturdy foundation. Like, the marriage was like nice and everything, but we just went into it very willy-nilly without like boundaries or ground rules or really getting to know each other. And then also I registered that I started getting more spiritual abilities, I guess, within the next year or 2 that I fully did not register. And I needed to know certain things so I wouldn't just be mad in this life. So, for example, like, I registered that I actually cannot go and do any form of like, I can't recreationally do past life regressions and stuff like that, because I got kind of addicted to it, and that makes you go mad. And also, like, to get me out of it, I realized I needed to be in the sunlight. There was like a bunch of things that I needed to see, because like if it was just, yeah. So I don't know. So now it's just, I've been having more precognitions and stuff. I don't think in this timeline we should do that, because like, I don't know. I don't know. No, I do know. That's the issue. Oh my God. Okay, so the Lord was playing a little trick on me with that. So yeah, all 4 of them ended up being reincarnated into men. But another thing I didn't register, it mirrored, all of the energy mirrored. So how do I put this? So, okay. So for example, my best friend in that life was a man who I wanted to get married to. In the 1800s, hell no, that's not going to be acceptable. So the mirroring, the equal part of that would be, the dude now is married, and I didn't want any of my partners to have spouses, so they would end up with karmics until they like realized how bad it was. So that's the mirroring. So in that life, the equivalent of us divorcing and like getting married as like a gay couple would have been him divorcing his wife because they have a bad relationship, entering a poly relationship, and then me looking like a homewrecker. Same thing with like my sister in that life. I know who the person is in this life, but there's still a bunch of things, like we have an age gap, and that's one thing. Like, there's also poly relationship. It's like it all mirrored. It all had kind of like a little tiny bit of a catch in a way. And not that it was like bad. Like, honestly, like when I was having those precognitions on the timeline and everything, it was really nice. Like, we had a nice life and everything, but it just I didn't know about the negative aspects of it. But that was kind of crazy. I spent like pretty much every single night I was dreaming for like the last few weeks, like 3 weeks. I was like living another life, and I had 4 husbands, and and it's like, I have nobody to talk to about this. It's so weird. It's so, yeah, like I had 4 husbands. Wow. I don't know if I'm going to do that in this life or not. We'll see how it goes. But chances are I may have 4 husbands in this life. We'll see, y'all. Stay tuned. Follow me to see if I end up with 4 husbands.